She's basically an AI without the updates, stuck in 2015 productivity mode while I'm living in 2024. Victoria gets me. Ashley inspires me. Nina grounds me. The robot just processes. I heard my husband's voice through my laptop speakers at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I wasn't supposed to. The audio was coming from a calendar sync error. His corporate calendar had accidentally merged with my work system during a routine software update. What I thought was a scheduling glitch turned into a front row seat to my husband's weekly strategic alignment meeting. Except there was no strategy. Just my husband, Marcus, his boss, Victoria, and my two closest friends, Ashley and Nina, laughing about how I was the perfect cover for their little success club. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I sat in my home office in our San Francisco apartment, the fog rolling past the window. And I did what I do best. I analyzed the data. My name is Elena Martinez. I'm 34 years old, and I'm a senior data analyst at a tech company you've definitely heard of. My job is finding patterns in chaos, identifying anomalies, and building models that predict outcomes. For 6 years, I'd been applying these skills to billion-dollar business problems. I'd never thought to apply them to my marriage. Marcus and I had been together for 7 years, married for 5. He was a sales director at a mid-sized software company, charismatic, social, always the center of attention at parties. I was the quiet one, the one who preferred spreadsheets to small talk, data visualization to dinner parties. He used to say it was complementary. Yin and yang. He brought the warmth, I brought the stability. Apparently, he'd been bringing the warmth to several other people too. I listened to the entire hour-long recording. Victoria Hayes, his VP of Marketing, 42 years old with a corner office and a TED Talk about female leadership. She'd been sleeping with my husband for 8 months. Ashley Reed, wellness influencer with 127,000 Instagram followers, preaching authentic living while authentically betraying her best friend. Duration: 6 months. Nina Torres, life coach. The woman I'd trusted with my deepest insecurities about not being fun enough for Marcus. She'd been coaching him, all right. 4 months. They had a group chat. They called it the Elevation Project. I found the messages by accessing Marcus's cloud backup. He used the same password for everything, a fact I'd always found endearingly trusting. Now it just felt foolish. His foolishness, not mine. The messages were a masterclass in betrayal. Victoria talking about how she and Marcus were evolutionary partners while I was still running Windows 95. Ashley sharing photos from girls' nights with Nina that were actually threesomes at Marcus's office after hours. Nina sweet, spiritual Nina sending voice memos about how my emotional unavailability justified their arrangement. My emotional unavailability was actually just competence. I had a demanding job. I managed a team of 12 people. I was 2 levels below VP at 34 because I was good at what I did. But somehow, working late meant I was cold. Preferring a quiet evening with a book meant I was robotic. Not wanting to go clubbing on a Wednesday meant I lacked passion. I spent 3 weeks building my case. I took screenshots, downloaded messages, created a timeline with GPS data cross-referenced against credit card receipts. Marcus had been using our joint account to buy gifts for them. A necklace for Victoria that he claimed was a client appreciation gift. Spa packages for Ashley that he said were for me but never gave me. Therapy sessions for Nina that he wrote off as couples counseling on our insurance. The data didn't lie. People did. During those 3 weeks, I maintained perfect normalcy. I woke up at 6, made breakfast, asked Marcus about his day. I attended Ashley's product launch party and complimented her new activewear line. I had coffee with Nina and nodded along as she talked about conscious uncoupling and authentic relationships. I sent Victoria a congratulatory email when she won an industry award. Marcus noticed nothing. Why would he? I was the robot wife, remember? Predictable. Processable. Safe. What Marcus didn't know was that I'd been headhunted 3 months earlier by their biggest competitor. The initial offer was $180,000, a 40% salary increase from my current $128,000. I'd been considering it casually, but after discovering the Elevation Project, I fast-tracked the negotiations. By the end of week 2 of my investigation, I had a signed offer letter for $195,000 plus equity. Start date, delayed by my request to finish critical projects at my current company. I was finishing a project, all right. Just not the one they thought. I also did something I'd been putting off for years. I hired a forensic accountant to review our finances. My father had given me one piece of advice before I married Marcus. Keep separate accounts. I'd listened. My salary had always gone into my own account. I contributed exactly 50% to our joint expenses, and the rest I invested. Turns out, I was pretty good at that too. Over 7 years, my portfolio had grown to $340,000. Marcus's contribution to our joint account? He'd actually been withdrawing more than he put in. The forensic accountant found $31,000 in unexplained expenses over the past year alone. Hotels, restaurants, gifts, all for his elevation project. The prenup I'd insisted on, another thing Marcus had found unromantic at the time, was going to be very useful. By week 3, I had everything I needed. Bank records, screenshots, recordings, a divorce attorney on retainer, and a plan. I called it the appreciation dinner. I told Marcus I wanted to do something special for him. He'd been working so hard, I said. I wanted to thank him properly. And since Victoria had been such a supportive boss to him, and since Ashley and Nina had been such good friends to us both, I wanted to treat all 4 of them to dinner at Saison, the 3 Michelin star restaurant that had a 4-month waitlist. Marcus was thrilled. This is exactly what I've been talking about, he said, pulling me into a hug. You're finally learning to loosen up, be more spontaneous. I'd made the reservation 6 months ago for our anniversary. I just changed the guest list. I booked the private dining room. $10,000 for the evening, wine pairings included. I put it on my personal credit card. Worth every penny. The dinner was scheduled for a Friday in late October. I spent the morning at my current company, officially giving my notice. My boss was disappointed but understanding. My team was sad to see me go. I'd trained my replacement over the past 3 weeks. Everything was in order. I spent the afternoon with my private investigator, a woman named Carmen who came highly recommended by my divorce attorney. Carmen had compiled everything into 4 identical folders, each one customized for its recipient. Professional presentation folders with the Saison logo printed on them. They'd think it was part of the restaurant's luxury experience. At 6 p.m., I arrived at the restaurant in a black dress Marcus had never seen before. I'd had my hair done. Full makeup. I looked beautiful. I looked powerful. I looked like someone who was about to burn 4 lives to the ground. Marcus arrived first, kissing me on the cheek. You look amazing, he said. Is this new? Very new, I replied. Victoria arrived next, in a designer suit that probably cost more than my dress. She hugged me warmly. Elena, this is so generous of you. Marcus is lucky to have such a thoughtful wife. He really is, I agreed. Ashley came in a cloud of perfume and positive energy, already filming for her Instagram stories. Guys, Elena is treating us to Saison. This is what real friendship looks like. She hugged me, her blonde hair brushing against my face. I smiled for her camera. Nina was last, wearing crystals and a serene expression. She took both my hands. Your energy feels different tonight, she said. More open. I'm proud of you. Thank you, I said. I'm about to be very open. We settled into the private dining room. The sommelier poured champagne. Marcus made a toast about gratitude and success and the people who made life worth living. Everyone clinked glasses. I sipped mine slowly. I needed to be completely sober for what was coming. The first course arrived, hamachi with yuzu and caviar. Conversation flowed. Victoria talked about the company's Q4 projections. Ashley discussed her upcoming wellness retreat in Tulum. Nina shared insights from her latest certification in somatic therapy. Marcus was in his element, charming and animated, his hand occasionally resting on my knee under the table. I checked my watch. 7:45. Right on schedule. At 7:50, I stood up. Before the next course, I have a small surprise. I smiled at the table. I've prepared something special for each of you. A token of my appreciation. I walked around the table, placing a presentation folder in front of each person: Victoria, Ashley, Nina, and finally Marcus. The folders were sealed with gold stickers bearing the restaurant's logo. Go ahead, I said, returning to my seat. Open them. Marcus opened his first. I watched his face as he saw the first page: our joint bank statements with highlighter marking every unauthorized withdrawal. His eyes widened. He flipped to the next page. Screenshots of the Elevation Project group chat. His face went pale. Victoria opened hers. The first page was a transcript of a recording Marcus on the phone with his friend Brad, laughing about how Victoria was desperate for validation and easy to manipulate because she's hitting 42 and scared of being alone. Her hand went to her throat. Ashley's folder contained screenshots of Marcus's private messages to a buddy. The influencer thing is hilarious. She's so fake deep. Living authentically while she's filtering every photo and buying followers. But hey, great in bed. Also included, a list of fake followers her account had purchased, compiled by Carmen's social media forensics team. Nina's folder was perhaps the cruelest. It contained session notes from our couples counseling, the real counseling I'd been going to alone for the past 6 months, trying to understand why I felt so disconnected from my friends. The therapist's notes were clear. Emotional manipulation, gaslighting, projection. Also included, screenshots of Nina's messages to Marcus about how I was too damaged to be helped while she was teaching him about real intimacy. For several seconds, no one spoke. The only sound was the rustle of papers as they flipped through their folders. Then Victoria's breathing changed. Short, sharp gasps. Her hand clutched at her chest. I can't breathe. Ashley's face had gone from its usual healthy glow to a sickly gray. She was hyperventilating, her phone forgotten on the table. Nina's crystals weren't helping her now. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face, her breath coming in ragged sobs. Marcus turned to me, and for the first time in our 7 years together, I saw real fear in his eyes. Elena, what did you? He couldn't finish. His breathing was erratic, his hand pressed against his chest. I'm calling 911, I said calmly, already dialing. Yes, I need ambulances at Saison Restaurant, private dining room. 4 people having what appear to be severe panic attacks. The paramedics arrived within 10 minutes. The restaurant staff was professional, discreet, clearing other diners from view. 4 ambulances, 4 gurneys. Victoria went first, oxygen mask on her face. Ashley second, still gasping. Nina third, sedated because her panic had turned into a full anxiety attack. Marcus last, his eyes never leaving mine as they wheeled him out. I rode in the ambulance with Marcus. Not because I cared. Because I wanted to watch. At the hospital, they were all stabilized within a few hours. The ER doctor explained it to me in the waiting room. Severe acute stress reactions. Their cortisol levels were critically high. Panic attacks can feel like heart attacks, the chest pain, the difficulty breathing. It's all very real. But they'll be fine. Physically. I nodded. And mentally? The doctor gave me a knowing look. That's a longer conversation. They'll probably need therapy. Whatever caused this level of stress response, it must have been significant. It was, I said. Marcus was released around 2 a.m. Victoria, Ashley, and Nina were kept overnight for observation. I drove Marcus home in silence. He sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window, occasionally touching his chest like he was checking if his heart was still there. When we got home, he finally spoke. How long have you known? 3 weeks. And you? You planned all of this. I processed it, I said. Like the robot I am. He flinched. I never meant. Yes, you did. I set my keys on the counter. You meant every word. The problem wasn't that you said it. The problem was that you said it while sleeping with my friends and your boss, using my money to fund your elevation project, and making me doubt my own worth in the process. I want to explain. There's nothing to explain. I have recordings. Marcus. Screenshots. Bank statements. GPS data. I have everything. I poured myself a glass of water. I've already filed for divorce. The papers will be served to you next week. The prenup is airtight, you get nothing. I've withdrawn my 50% from the joint account. The remainder is yours, though according to my forensic accountant, you've been operating in the negative for 6 months. Where will I go? Maybe Victoria can help you. Oh wait, according to your own messages, you told Brad she was convenient but too corporate for long term. Maybe Ashley? No, you called her fake deep. Nina? You laughed about her woo-woo bullshit with your friends. I set down my glass. You're going to have a hard time finding support from the people you betrayed tonight. This is cruel, he whispered. No, I said. Cruel is sleeping with my best friends. Cruel is stealing from our joint account. Cruel is calling me a robot while I was being loyal to you. What I did tonight was justice. You destroyed us. You destroyed us. I just provided the documentation. Marcus left 3 days later, staying with his brother in Sacramento. The divorce was finalized in 4 months. California can be efficient when both parties don't contest. He got nothing. I got the apartment, my portfolio, and my self-respect. Victoria's story spread through the industry. Someone leaked the details, not me, though I had my suspicions about Carmen's other clients. Victoria was investigated by her company's HR for inappropriate relationships with subordinates. She wasn't fired, but she was demoted. The VP title went to someone else. Her TED Talk was quietly removed from the website. Women supporting women doesn't have the same ring when you're sleeping with your employee's husband. Ashley's influencer career didn't die, but it flatlined. The wellness community can forgive a lot of things, but sleeping with your best friend's husband while preaching authenticity? That's a tough sell. Her follower count dropped by 40,000. Sponsors pulled out. Her Tulum retreat was cancelled due to insufficient bookings. Nina's life coaching certification board launched an ethics review after receiving an anonymous complaint complete with documentation. She's still practicing, but her client base has shrunk significantly. Turns out, people don't want life advice from someone who helps their clients betray their wives. As for me, I started my new job a month later. The team was great, the work was challenging, and my salary let me buy a small house in Oakland with a view of the bay. I adopted a cat named Algorithm. I joined a book club. I started therapy, real therapy, where I learned that being focused and professional doesn't make you a robot, it makes you competent. 6 months after the dinner, I ran into Nina at a coffee shop. She looked smaller somehow, less sure of herself. She saw me and hesitated, then walked over. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know it doesn't mean anything now, but I am. I was jealous. You had everything together, and I was a mess pretending to be a guru. Marcus made me feel special, and I convinced myself it was okay because you didn't appreciate him. But I was wrong. About all of it." I looked at her for a long moment. "Thank you for saying that. Do you think old we ever?" "No," I said gently. "We can't." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and left. I don't miss Marcus. I don't miss Ashley's performative friendship or Nina's toxic wisdom. I don't even miss Victoria's pretense of mentorship. I miss the versions of them I thought existed. But those people were never real. What's real is this. I'm 35 now. I have a job I love, a home that's mine, and a life that doesn't crumble when one person leaves. I have real friends, people from my book club, colleagues who value my quiet competence, my sister who flew out from New York and spent a week on my couch, eating ice cream and reminding me that I was never the problem. Last month, I got promoted to Director of Analytics. The press release described me as strategic, innovative, and uncompromising in her pursuit of excellence. Not a single person called me a robot. My therapist asked me recently if I regretted how I handled things. The dinner, the public exposure, the calculated revenge. "No," I said. "Should I?" "I'm not here to judge," she replied. "I'm asking what you learned." I thought about it. I learned that being called cold or robotic or unemotional is often just code for you won't accept my bullshit. I learned that the people who mock your boundaries are usually the ones who benefit from you not having them. And I learned that the best revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming someone they can never touch again. She smiled. That's good growth. Sometimes I think about that night at Saison. The look on their faces when they opened those folders. The way their perfect little elevation project collapsed into panic and chaos. The ambulances, the hospital, the unraveling of 4 lives. I didn't poison their bodies. I poisoned the lies they built their lives on. And if that makes me a robot? Fine. Robots don't feel betrayal. They don't plan revenge. They just process. But I'm not a robot. I'm a woman who processed my cheating husband, his manipulative boss, and my fake friends right out of my life. And I'm living my best life now, updated to 2024 and beyond, while they're all still trying to recover from the crash.